Hello! Hi guys! Today we are reading another story from Horrid Henry Shows Who's Boss by Francesca Simon. Illustrated by Tony Ross. So, let's go! And don't forget we are reading Horrid Henry's Bedtime. "What are you doing in my room?" screamed Horrid Henry. How dare Peter come into his bedroom? Couldn't he read the sign? "Smelly Toad Brothers, keep out!" "Looking for my blue pencil," said Peter. He stared at the piles of comics and sweet wrappers and dirty clothes and toys littering the floor, the bed and the chest of drawers. "Well, it's not in there, so get out," hissed Henry. Hissed Henry. So what if he pinched Peter's pencil? He had a huge bit of sky to colour in. "And don't you dare touch anything. You should be in your pyjamas," said Peter. "I am. Whoopee for you," said Horrid. "Now get out. Now, get lost." "What? No, he's not. He's not in his pyjamas." Peter wrinkled his nose. "Your room stinks." "That's 'cause you're in it, smelly." "Mom!" screamed Peter. "Henry called me smelly." "Don't be horrid. Stop being horrid, Henry," screamed Mum. "Smelly, smelly, 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 smelly," jeered Henry. "Smelly, smelly, smelly." "Mom!" wailed Peter. "He did it again. Tattletale, meaning poo breath, stinky." "Mega stink." Perfect Peter paused. He ran out of bad names to call Henry. What, Henry? I did not run out of bad names to call Peter. "Baby, nappy face, ugh, wub, toad, ugly, pongy pants, duke of poop." "Mom!" screamed Peter. Mum and Dad burst into the room. "That's enough!" shouted Mum. She looked at her watch. "It's 8 o'clock. Why aren't you in your pyjamas, Henry? Bedtime, both of you." "Hooray!" said Perfect Peter. "I love going to bed." "I do too." "What? Bedtime?" The hateful, horrible word thudded round the room. Next chapter. And I mean the next page. Look how angry she looks. She's like our cat Betty, who gets angry when I try to hug the cat. Although I respect the cat now. "No!" shrieked Horrid Henry. "It couldn't be bedtime already." "I'm sorry I've been naughty, Mum," said Perfect Peter. "I was so busy doing tomorrow night's homework. I didn't notice the time." "Don't worry," said Mum, smiling. Then she scowled at Henry. "Why aren't you ready for bed? Peter is." "I'm not tired," screamed Henry. "I don't want to go to bed." "I do," said Peter. Mum sighed. Dad sighed. "Henry, you know the rules," said Dad. "In bedtime at 8. Lights off. Out at 8:30. "It's not fair," screamed Henry. "No one goes to bed at 8 except for Lazy Linda. Lazy Linda just loves to sleep. Why don't you just start leaving her alone?" "Who was asleep at 7? "No one went to bed so early. Toby went to bed at 9. Margaret went to bed at 9:30. So she did, though Henry wasn't sure she believed her. Ralph didn't even have a bedtime. But now his mean, horrible parents hated him so much they shoved him into bed when everyone else was still rampaging and having fun. Bedtime? Bleh! What a hateful, horrible, evil word. A word, thought Horrid Henry. Bitterly. As horrid as cabbage, prison, Peter, and school. When he was king, any parent who dared to tell their kids to go to bed would be sent to bed themselves at 5 o'clock forever. What? Why would he do that? Why did he have to go to bed? He had to He had TV to watch, computer games to play, comics to read. But I'm not tired, howled Henry. We're growing boys, Henry, and we need our rest, said Perfect Peter. Early to bed, early to rise, makes a boy healthy, wealthy. Shut up, Peter, snarled Henry, pouncing. He was Hurricane Henry, blowing away the last remaining human. Ah! Screamed Peter. Stop being horrid, Henry, yelled Mum. Go to bed this instant, yelled Dad. No, shouted Henry. Yes, shouted Mum. His parents didn't have a bedtime. Oh, no. They could stay up as late as they liked. It was so unfair. I'm not tired. And I won't go to bed, shrieked Henry. He lay on the floor, kicking and screaming. Mum looked at Dad. Dad looked at Mum. My turn to put Peter to bed, shouted Dad, trying to be heard over Henry's howls. My turn to put Peter to bed, shouted Mum. I got Henry into bed last night. Are you sure? Screeched Dad. Sure, he looked pale. Yes! Shouted Mum. How could I forget? Come on, Peter. What do you want for your bedtime story? Sammy the Snuggly Snail, said Peter, scampering off to bed. Slimy the Slug was too scary. Mum scampered after him. I won't go to bed! I want to watch Cannibal Cook, howled Henry. Cannibal Cook was this brilliant new TV show where chefs competed to see who could cook the most revolting meals. Last time, Gormand Greg had whipped up lizard eyes. Okay, I would rather much watch some cartoons than watch that. Lizard eyes in custard. Tonight, nibbling Nigel, more like Nigel the Knit Boy, although he didn't have any knits, was fighting back with jelly worm souffle. You can't eat a souffle with worms. That's just gross. It's so boring being in bed, screamed Henry. I don't care, said Dad friendly. It's bedtime. Now! Strange, thought Horrid Henry, as he paused for breath between shrieks. Tonight he never wanted to get into bed, but in the morning he never wanted to get out of it. But now was not the time for philosophy. He had important work to do if he was going to delay the evil moment as long as he possibly could. Just let me finish my drawing. No, said Dad. Please. No, no. Spells no, said Dad. It's my homework, lied Henry. Oh, all right, said Dad. Hurry up. Henry drew a dragon very slowly. Dad looked at the clock. It was 8:35. Come on, Henry, said Dad. He stood there, tapping his foot. Henry coloured in the dragon very, very slowly. Henry, said Dad. Henry drew the dragon's cave very, very, very slowly. That's enough, Henry, said Dad. Now brush your teeth and get into bed. Already brushed my teeth, said Henry. Henry, said Dad. Oh, all right, said Horrid Henry. After all, he held the world record for the world's slowest toothbrusher. Not only did he get world record for that, slowly Henry brushed his front teeth. Slowly Henry brushed his teeth. His back teeth. Brush, 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 brush. Dad stood in the Horrid Henry, in the doorway, glaring up. Hurry up! But Dad, said Horrid Henry, indignantly, do you want me to get fillings? I did that as a joke. bed now. You'll be sorry when my teeth all fall out because you stopped me from brushing them, said Henry. Dad sighed. He had been sighing a lot lately. Horrid Henry stood at the bottom of the stairs. I can't walk. I'm too floppy, said Horrid Henry. So cruel, said Dad. My legs are too wobbly, moaned Horrid Henry. So wobble, said Dad. Delicious smells floated up from the kitchen. Mum was cooking spaghetti with meatballs. Only his favourite dinner. How could he be expected to go to bed with all that good cooking going on downstairs? I'm hungry, said Henry. The kitchen is closed, said Dad. I'm thirsty, said Henry. I'll bring you water once you're in bed. Dad was being tough tonight, thought Horrid Henry, but not too tough for me. Then suddenly Horrid Henry had an idea. A brilliant, spectacular idea. True, his parents could make him go to bed eventually, but they couldn't make him stay there. Could they? Horrid Henry yawned loudly. I guess I'm quite tired, Dad, said Horrid Henry. Will you tuck me in? I said, what did you say? I'm ready for bed now, said Henry. Horrid Henry walked up to his bedroom. Horrid Henry got into his pajamas and jumped into bed. Good night, Dad, said Henry. Good night, Dad, said Henry. Good night, Henry, said Dad, tucking him in. Sleep well, he added, leaving the room with a big, beaming smile on his face. Horrid Henry leapt out of bed. Quickly, he gathered up some blankets, a pile of dirty clothes from the floor. Then he stuffed blanket and clothes under the duvet. Perfect, thought Horrid Henry. Yes, that's just to show that he has dirty clothes. Anyone glancing in would think he was snuggled up in bed fast under the covers. Tee-hee! Thought Horrid Henry. He tiptoed to the door. The coast was clear. His parents were safely in the kitchen eating dinner, leaving Henry a whole house to have fun in. Sneak, sneak, sneak. Then suddenly Henry heard his parents' voices. Yikes! They thought they were coming upstairs. Henry darted back into his bedroom and hid behind the door. He's in bed, said Mum incredulously. Before 9 o'clock. Yup, said Dad. This I have to see, said Mum. His parents stood outside his bedroom peeking in. See, whispered Dad proudly. I told you you'd just have to be firm. Mum marched over to Henry's bed and pulled back the duvet. She does have blonde hair, though. Oh, said Dad. Horrid Henry slipped out of his room and dashed downstairs. Only one thing to do. Hide! Henry! Shouted Dad, running down the hall. Where are you? Get back in bed this instant. Horrid Henry squeezed under the sitting room sofa. They could make him go back to bed. If they couldn't find them. Could they? That's just a joke. It's a joke. Have you found Henry yet? He heard Dad call him. Call Mum. No, said Mum. Tee-hee, thought Horrid Henry. Is he in the loo? Said Mum. No, said Dad. The kitchen? No, said Dad. Maybe he's gone to bed, said Mum. She sounded doubtful. Fat chance, said Dad. Henry heard Mum and Dad's footsteps coming into the sitting room. He held his breath. Henry, said Dad. We know you're in there. Indeed, he was right. Look. Come on, this minute, or you're in big trouble. Henry kept as still as he could. Mum checked behind the sofa. Dad checked behind the TV. I'll check Peter's room, said Mum. I'll check Henry's room again, said Dad. The moment they left the room, Henry leaped and dashed to the coat cupboard in the hall. They'd never find him there. Henry made himself comfy and cozy there, in the corner with the wellies. This was alive. He'd be safe there for hours, days, weeks, while the coast was clear. He'd sneak out for food and comics. No more school, no more bed. He'd never leave his little hidey hole until he was grown up and could stay up forever. Oh, footsteps! Henry jumped up and dangled from the coat rail. He could behind the coats, hiding himself as best as he could behind the coats. Dad flung open the cupboard door. Horrid Henry hung on to the coat rail. His feet dangled. Please don't find me, thought Horrid Henry. Please. Please don't find me. Dad pawed through the coats. Horrid Henry held his breath. Hold his breath. He hung on tighter and tighter. Dad closed the door. Phew, thought Horrid Henry. That's close. Crack! Crack! Crash! Coats, rail, and Henry collapsed to the floor. Hi, Dad, said Horrid Henry. What are you doing there? What are you doing here? All what was not lost, thought Horrid Henry, as he lay in his boring bed with the lights off. His mean, horrible. Parents can make him go to bed, but they couldn't make him sleep, could they? Ha ha ha, ha ha ha! He'd been pretending to be asleep. Now that the coast was clear, party! Henry took his torch, a big stash of comic books, sweets, toys, his cassette player, and a few drizzle cannibal CD players, and made a secret den under his duvet. Now this was more like it. Tear down the skull. Don't be a fool, warbled the driller cannibals. What waiting for? Don't be a fool, sang Henry, stuffing his face with sweets. What's going on there? Screamed Dad, flinging back the duvet. Rats, thought Horrid Henry. Dad confiscated his flashlight, food, comics, and CDs. It's 11 o'clock, said Dad, though through gritted teeth. Go to sleep. Horrid Henry lay quietly for 30 seconds. I can't sleep, shouted Henry. Try, screamed Mum. I can't, said Henry. Think lovely thoughts, said Dad. Horrid Henry thought about monsters. Looks like a hairy kitten who's been trapped as a human for the rest of its life. Horrid Henry thought about ghosts. Horrid Henry thought about burglars. Horrid Henry thought about injections. Dad! What? The hall light isn't on. Dad prodded up the stairs and turned it on. Dad, what? My door's not open enough. Dad shrugged up the stairs and opened it. Dad, what? Whimpered Dad. Where's Mr. Kill? You know I can't sleep without Mr. Kill. You're right. Dad staggered up the stairs. I'll look for him, said Dad, yawning. And I need to be tucked in again, said Henry. Dad left the room. Horrid Henry was outraged. Wasn't that just like a parent? They nag and nag you to go to bed, and then you tell them you're ready to sleep. Suddenly, they don't want to know. Horrid Henry. Henry waited and waited and waited. The clock said 11:42. Still no Dad. And no Mr. Kill. Dad! There was no answer. Dad! Hissed Henry. Hissed Henry. Still there was no answer. Henry jumped out of bed. Where was Dad? He needed to be tucked in. How could they expect him to sleep without being tucked in? Henry peeped into the hall. No Dad. Henry checked the bathroom. No Dad. He walked downstairs and checked the kitchen. There's snoring in the kitchen. Although my parents, Betty has been snoring all day. Still no Dad. What a rotten father, thought Horrid Henry, to abandon his son without tucking him in. Henry peeked into the window, the sitting room door. Dad! Dad was lying on the sofa, holding Mr. Kill, and was snoring. Hey, Dad, wake up! Shrieked Horrid Henry. I'm ready for bed now. So, Horrid Henry's bedtime thoughts. No one ever wants to go to bed unless you're a baby nappy wormy toad like Peter. But sometimes you've got no choice. So here's some great things to think about to help you fall asleep. Count zombies. Count Mulready. Goats. Think about the monsters hiding under your bed. Think about the monsters hiding in your wardrobe. Listen to all the scary creaks on the stairs. Remember the scary vampire story you saw on TV. Wonder if your bathroom is haunted. Imagine werewolves trying to smash their way into your bedroom. Remember that really spooky ghost story. Imagine being chased by a gigantic spider. Trust me, you'll be asleep before you know it. Okay, so that is the end of that story called Horrid Henry's Showed Who's Boss. That's the end of that chapter, and thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Bye-bye! So, bye everybody.